First and Now is brought to you by World Vision Canada, national charity partner of the BC Lions. Visit bclions.com/worldvision to become a supporter. We're here, Kamloops, and I rolled in about an hour ago, and we're already putting each other to work here. It's good. Nikki, what's up?
Busy. Go. It's training camp.
Good drive
it's what
up.
we live for, yeah. 3 hours up and it's crazy. I've driven the Coke with my mom now, and her being from Winnipeg and living in Manitoba, she's always surprised when the speed limit hits 120.
Yeah.
Because in pretty much outside of Canada, if I'm not mistaken, 100 is kind of the standard, even like 90 in some places. But BC out here, 110, 120, you rip up.
Yeah, I probably had one of my smoothest drives ever up. Left Burnaby about 8:15 and rolled in here about 11:30 with about a 20-minute stop in between. So we were talking about this off air. Once you get through the valley, you're pretty much smooth sailing.
Oh,
yeah.
And the mountains still got snow on them. It's just waterfalls coming off the side of the road. It's beautiful, and we're right into this now. We got first year Americans rolling around. Our draft picks are all here. Nathan Rourke, Jeremiah Mazzoli, the whole gang's here. The coaching staff, so it feels good.
Nathan Rourke is today's guest, by the way, coming up in a few minutes' time. Recording this on a Wednesday afternoon, so at this present moment, the on-field activity is not yet set, but we will say Wednesday, just a walkthrough at 5 o'clock. We've got 2 practices going on Thursday. The first one at 10:30, the other one in the later afternoon, all at Hillside Stadium. Back on the field on Friday as well. Friday from 3 until 5:25. So that's a bit different this year. Just the one morning practice in minicamp, and it's a later morning, but it is a 2-a-day, 4:30 to 6, the other practice on Thursday. These are open to the public, so if you're in Kamloops or planning to come up, come by and say hello and see some of the first real action. Again, first-year Lions, a handful of guys who aren't first years. We talked about the quarterbacks. If you've played less than 7 games in the league, you're eligible. You'll see guys like Dylan St. Pierre, Ezekiel Tidy, guy looking to make a stride in year 2.
Falanico, Kalmeyer,
yeah. A couple of the practice roster additions last year, Tyler Coyle, Mike Smith, 2 guys on defense. So the roster is posted at bclions.com, the minicamp roster. So going to be good. And we're getting right into this. And Monday, back in Surrey, we had kind of our final pre-training camp availability for folks back home. And the message has shifted here, Nick. It's, the off-season hype is over. These guys know that they have to go to work now. And overall, I liked what we heard from the likes of Buck Pierce, Nathan Rourke, Justin McInnes.
Yeah, the mindset is to look ahead, right? They're not 2024 didn't go the way that this team wanted it to go, but they're not dwelling on it, right? It's all steam ahead. It's a new era, a new regime. There were even comments about, getting past Winnipeg. Like that talk is not there anymore. And it's just, we got to focus on ourselves and we'll get to where we want to get to. And I think that was relayed quite well, and it shapes up well for this camp and even leading into the season now.
We're going to hear from Nathan Rourke. He's going to sit down with us here in Kamloops momentarily, but from his Monday press conference, talking about what excites him most about this 2025 team.
Yeah, I just see a group that's ready to go, and they're hungry and they're ready to bounce back after last year. I think what we've proven to ourselves in the last couple of years, whether I've been here or not, is that it's not about how we start, it's about how we finish, and we just haven't done that well enough. We're bringing in a staff that knows how to finish and knows how to win those big games, and we got to figure out a way to come out of the West. That's just no other way around it. So.
There you go. Back in Kamloops, Nathan is for the first time since 2022, but we'll talk to him about that. And that's a guy who's all business, but he's ready to go. He understands that what happened last year was an acceptable, very different situation, and he's ready to roll.
Yeah, just comfortable, right? It's oozing now. You can just tell that he is very comfortable, very aware of the situation, that he's the guy. There's no one looking over his shoulder right now, right? It's all about support in the quarterback room. So yeah, that 2022 Nathan Rourke that everyone talks about, I think he's here.
Yeah. And the mini camp talk, and he's had the early chemistry with his receivers. He's been with Buck Pierce quite a bit now, so no excuses to not get it done. And that's probably one of the other big storylines is a new head coach. Buck Pierce hired in early December, and former Lion. It's almost 20 years ago to the day where he first reported to his first mini camp with the BC Lions. Buck Pierce talking on Monday about what to expect as he gets ready to officially put his stamp back on the BC Lions.
Well, I think it's important that the people that you surround yourself, creates the culture, right? We understand where we need to get to, and those things need to be implemented early, right? I'll keep a lot of that stuff in-house, with our players. But I think they all understand the message. Training camp isn't just about X's and O's and, running plays that are drawn up on the board. It's about, finding out who you are as a team and, being closer as teammates.
I think he's going to endear himself well, Buck Pierce. Going to see some changes, some wrinkles to this offense. It's always intriguing when you have a new head coach, but the fact that it's someone who has had success in Winnipeg as a coordinator and someone who has a history with this franchise, a Grey Cup champion in 2006, that's going to be a good combination.
Yeah, and I'm just excited to see what the day-to-day looks like, right? Whether it's his speeches that we're going to get some access to for some behind-the-scenes arrow-up coverage, or just how the practices are run, right? Like it's going to be different, right? Every coach has their own way of doing things, and I'm excited to see that. And I ran into Buck today during lunch, and we were talking that Buck's never been to Kamloops. Like back when he was in training camp, it was Abbotsford, right? So he's in awe of the view. I think that's always the first thing people take away when they get up here. But yeah, excited for this new regime. It's starting in a couple hours here, and ready to see it all unfold.
Yeah, it's a funny part of the timeline. His first year with the Blue Bombers was the Lions' first year in Kamloops, 2010. So he only knows Columbia Bible College out in Abbotsford. And with all due respect, that was a pretty good spot as well, but you can't beat the settings up here in the tournament capital. Justin McInnes, 1469, his yardage, the first Canadian to lead the CFL in receiving since Andy Fantuz back in 2010. There's your Beat Bakes portion of this podcast, Nikki. He got the new contract. That doesn't mean he's going to slow down. Justin talking about that on Monday.
Anyone who kind of knows me knows that doesn't really mean a thing to me. Of course, I want to be paid for, having a great year, but at the end of the day, I love football. So, all that stuff doesn't really mean much. I'm driving the same car I'm going to drive until it breaks down. So all that money stuff doesn't mean I just want to go out, year in and year out and do numbers, have a year better than I did last year.
And we were joking with him, no more nicknames, no more junior head top. That's all gone. He's his own guy. And can he exceed his production from last year? I wouldn't put it past him.
No, definitely not. Justin's right in his prime, and I think you're going to see him take major strides as a leader too, right? We talked to Nathan about this, but the receiver core right now, it's kind of those three vets of Katoy, Hatcher, and McInnes. And it feels like the last couple of years, whether it's Brian Burnham or Lucky Whitehead, Dom Rams, there kind of has been that departure of that leadership voice. So naturally, Hatcher, McInnes, and Katoy as the vets, they're going to have to step up and embrace that role. And excited to see how Justin, takes strides in that department too.
There you go. All signs point toward the veterans coming in on Saturday, first full practice on Sunday. Again, reference our training camp page at bclions.com. The full schedule between now and I guess the 28th of May will be the final practice before we jet off to Edmonton for our second preseason game. Okay, some quick battles to talk about here. Again, we'll hear from Nathan Rourke. We'll have some fun in a few minutes as well, but a few key battles. Quarterback, after Nathan Rourke, it's going to be interesting. Jeremiah Masoli bringing that veteran experience. Not a bad veteran option if you're looking for a guy in the room, but Chase Bryce back for year number 3. Garrett Schrader out of Syracuse. That's a guy who could be a factor in the short yardage game, by the way, depending on how they sort that out. But that's going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, and even a guy like Chase Bryce, right? He's in year 3 now with the Lions. So there's going to have the solidified Nathan Rourke as QB1, but then there's Jeremiah Masoli and Chase Bryce. And where does Schrader fit into this, right? He's a big dude, 6'4", 215 pounds. I saw him earlier. He looks every bit of that. So, and his style we've talked about is built for the CFL, right? Tons of great numbers up in Syracuse. And can run the ball, short yardage duty. So I'm excited to see how Schrader fits out, and that's going to be a battle behind Rourke.
Yeah,
like Chase Bryce isn't going to let Jeremiah Masoli become the QB2 automatically. Like they're going to have to battle that out too. So excited to see how that unfolds.
All right, we've talked about McInnes, Katoy, Hatcher, virtual locks. I think we're not exactly going out on the limb there with some crazy odds at BCLC, but. Eberhardt, Berryhill, other veterans. We're talking about wide receiver 4 and 5, but this is why you bring in rookies, right? A few guys with NFL experience, a couple other Canadians. I've mentioned Ezekiel Tide already. Something to watch for, wide receiver 4 and 5.
Yeah, and you always see guys come up. You can always tell in the first week or two, you feel like that there's guys that emerge out of this first year class. I know Nathan's excited about a guy like Arias John too. Brings a lot of size to this room. And then even I was searching through, we're doing some research this week, and even a guy like Lynn Bowden. Did you see that clip I posted about him when he was a punter? Like the
former Charger.
So if you haven't seen this, go to my Twitter, NIK_Kowalski. Lynn Bowden is a punter, and he houses 100-yard. He drops the punt in his own end zone and runs it for a 100-yard score. So that's one guy I got my eye on just to see his speed. And there's going to be many others too that are definitely going to bring it.
Offensive line, always a big talking point. Anu Una you have listed here. That's a guy who's going to get every opportunity to come in and earn a spot. First round pick in 2024. Only a couple of appearances in a reserve role last year. Other Canadians in the fold, talking about different positions here. Andrew Pearson, Tyler Packer, David Foucault, a veteran. That's a guy who can play guard. Chris Slugger, if you're talking about an American guard. The upfront situation about as fascinating as ever.
Yeah, the interior, the offensive line, all across the board, right? Left guard and right guard. It's probably Schlugger and Una that start there as on day one at camp, but Corey Woodruff's another guy that is in the mix as another American. If you want to go American at that spot, Foucault you mentioned can be another Canadian offensive lineman, and then there's Michael Couture, Tyler Packer, and Andrew Pearson, who right now are all viable options at center, right? And I don't think that's by any means locked up, especially with Packer getting some starts there last season. So offensive line reinforcements are brought in with Dejon Allen at the right tackle spot, but in the interior, it's going to be a battle.
Yeah. And that first day in pads, boy, I think it's Tuesday, the second half of practice, the first padded practice. So that's always going to be fun to watch. Switching to the defense here quickly, linebackers, couple of injury notes. Buck Pierce talked about this the other day. Josh Woods with the ACL. Adam O'Clair, free agent addition, has a bit of a shoulder ailment. They're going to be here, but they're not going to be taking part for most of camp, at least not at the start. So that leaves Micah Alway, Ben Hladek as some capable veterans in the middle. Mike Smith and Devin Richardson, a couple of American newcomers who will be on the field here in minicamp. And Jackson Finley, have to talk about him. Could he go down to Sam, nickel, as Ryan Rigmaiden calls it? No shortage of options at those three positions.
Yeah, and on Monday's media session, Ryan Rigmaiden did say outright that the nickel position is projecting to be a CFL rookie. So whether that's, we talked about Tyler Coyle, Anthony Witherson, that's going to be coming in, these DBs that have size. And then there is a Jackson Finley wrinkle, right? I'm just intrigued to see what Mike Benavides, Ryan Phillips, what do they do with Jackson Finley, right?
Yeah.
He's a versatile player, right? So is Sam a position for him? Is halfback a position for him? Is safety to go alongside Christophe Beaulieu? Looking forward to seeing, how our top draft pick that's here in Kamloops shakes out.
Field side DB, again, athletes, solid mixture of vets and rookies. Ronald Kent, a guy who, he came in last year. Marcus Sales was injured and he took a spot with the ones and he rolled with it. But Jordan Perryman also back for a year or two. Jalen Edwards-Cooper, kind of a forgotten man back there, back for another stint. It's going to be a big sign who you see getting some two-team reps there coming up next week.
Yeah, the ones is gonna tell a lot too. But even with the DBs that emerge into the second team unit, right? That's gonna be the tell. So I think that's probably totally up for grabs right now, right? And Rad Phillips has experience, finding guys. Ronald Kent Jr. last year, even guys before, like, and I know I remember these names, but they're long gone. But like Keontae Harden back then, right? And Jalen Edwards Cooper that same year, like those are guys that were CFL rookies or first years and won spots in training camp. So time will always tell with the defensive backs, but there's some spots up for grabs there too. So that's exciting.
Terry Williams no longer here, so that begs the question, who handles the return duties? We've talked about Stanley Berryhill in the past as a guy who can do it, but I'm interested in a couple of these NFL additions. Jason Huntley, formerly with the Philadelphia Eagles. Nathaniel Pete's another one. Jermaine Jackson, who was assigned a couple of weeks ago. Even Lynn Bowden Jr. Probably one of the bigger question marks, if we're being honest, because the primary guy for the last few years is no longer here, and that's something that they have to fill.
Yeah, and it's just wide open, right? Another name, too, that has return capabilities is Lucas Stoikis, the draft pick out of Toronto from listed as a fullback, but did returning duties out there, too. So a Canadian returner would be pretty cool, but we can see how that battle unfolds. And yeah, like you said, probably wide open, and it's a question mark as we speak right now.
All right. And again, bclions.com, BC Lions YouTube is where everything is going to be. You got me doing daily reports, or at least every second.
First one today.
Right,
you're on the clock.
Right,
yeah.
I'll put my makeup on after this.
Yeah.
And we'll start thinking about some cool angles. Jokes aside, love doing that. I figured, got to bring all the info we can to the great fans. But before we hear from Nathan Rourke, our annual trailing camp superlatives, the most likely to portion. And we got some good ones. I'll ask you and you tell me. How's that?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, most likely to speak in an Irish accent.
So that's got to be Sean White, right?
Well, no, we got two kickers from Ireland. You know that, right?
But that's not that's just their natural.
That's just how they talk?
That's their native tongue. So I think, but by default, it's got to be Sean White. So the special teams rule when it comes to kickers and punters at training camp, it's Sean White, Mr. Reliable, Carl Meyer, hailing from South Africa, and then Ross Bolger and Mark, is it McNamee? McNamee, yeah. So two Irish kickers, a South African, and Sean White. So if I think I know Sean White, I think I'm going to be hearing him speak in an Irish accent or any kind of accent in training camp.
Make sure that camera's rolling.
Yes.
Most likely to race Neil McAvoy. I think I know where you're going here.
Yeah, lots of good candidates out there, but I think it's going to be Ryan Rigmanen, right? It's going to be the answer to that question.
No, because didn't Ryan say there's no rematch because he already won?
Hey, if peer pressure calls for round two.
It's like it's like when Seinfeld didn't want to race his rival from high school again because he beat him once and that was it. So
what if Neil calls him out? There's a wild card, a variable there.
Yeah. Maybe Benny. I'll go Benny and McAvoy.
Just start a tradition of coaches and football ops racing each other.
Yeah. All right, moving along. Some of our noisiest guys are gone. The Rugambas, the Hollandses, the VAs, the Terry Williams. Most likely to make noise.
We have Stanley Berryhill pegged into this category. If you watched Arrow Up, the mini camp of Nathan Rourke, we had Stanley Berryhill mic'd up, and he did not disappoint. So that's got to be the guy for this question.
I think McInnes is a guy who can.
Yeah, he gets intense.
I'll go
definitely.
McInnes.
Berryhill just makes noise though. He loves this.
Yeah,
screaming
every opportunity. Yeah. Most likely to have new dad strength. I think I know the answer.
Yeah, by default, that's Mr. Matthew Betts, first-time father. So looking forward to seeing Matthew for the first time. He was out doing daddy duties all off season and back home in Quebec. But he'll be up in Kamloops here on Saturday, and looking to see what kind of dad strength he has right in the prime of his career.
Nathan Betts, newborn son.
Yes,
is that right?
Nathan Betts.
Congratulations again. Looking for a big year from him as well. All right, most likely to say I'm back to Nick Orleam's camera.
Yeah, we got shooters out here, and James Butler, he's back. 2022, right. He's back. So looking forward to seeing that. And I know JB's great for all kinds of content. So he's gonna be the front runner for that one.
Could have Jalen Edwards Cooper. You never know. Okay, a few more here before we get to Nathan Rourke. Most likely to catch everything in sight.
Keon Hatcher Sr., people are sleeping on him. And
that's right.
2023, he was arguably the best receiver in the CFL. He's had a full offseason now. He's been talking about that. So on a serious note, if there's a guy that is going to get back to his usual self, and not even get back to it, because I think people forget that he was pretty much on a 1,000-yard pace if he had played the full 18 last year. But big things from Keon Hatcher Sr. this year. I think he's going to come out flying in camp.
Let's talk hitting. Most likely to lay down the boom.
Yeah, so I don't think big AJ or Big Justice or AJ are out here. So no Costco guys, but we're going to go Deontay Williams and Mike Alway. 2 physical additions we've been talking about. They're going to be battling for jobs too at whatever positions they get slotted into, and I think they're going to be physical in this camp.
I agree. Micah Alway, I think, has the upper hand. Most likely to combine for a crazy improvised TD. We're going to Jacksonville here, I think.
Yeah. Well, if anyone remembers the Nathan Rourke Jacksonville Jaguars preseason touchdown that went viral and had Patrick Mahomes tweeting about it, that was to Quadri Olison, and Quadri Olison is here in training camp as a running back. So I think by default, those two already have a pedigree of combining for crazy improvised plays. So we'll see if we can recreate some magic out here in Kamloops.
I'm praying this happens again. Most likely to challenge someone to a swimming race. We all know the answer. It is Brett Zolan.
Yeah.
Equipment associate.
Yeah. So if you remember last year, he challenged pretty much the whole team when we did these introductions that he's a semi-professional swimmer. Travis Fulgham, receiver here last year, took him up on that. And Brett Zolan did not disappoint at the Hillside Stadium facility, winning in the swimming race. So if anybody wants round 2, that could be a possibility here.
All right. Most likely to end up at the Kamloops airport at 2 a.m. This might have happened already. I don't know.
Yeah, he already was doing this. Tyler Gammon, our football operations manager, shout out to him because this is pretty much his Super Bowl or his Grey Cup week, right? When all the 100 players roll in and he's dealing with flights from Ireland and flights from Louisiana and flights from Quebec. So shout out to Tyler because that guy, it's a busy time of the year for him, making sure everybody's here and ready to go.
He's a trooper. Yep, that's for sure. Most likely to walk a dog around the track. That's Moj.
Yeah. Moj and Kaya, if you're out here in Kamloops, you'll see Moj walking his dog Kaya around training camp. So I think we gotta keep our eyes out for that one.
We all fed Kaya a treat last year. It's a her? Gotta be a
yes.
her. Yes.
Yeah.
Brought her to Hillside and some good photo ops. All right, 3 more, and then it's Nathan Rourke. Most likely to be noticed for dancing.
Gotta be Rory, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we're not talking players. They were talking Rory, the dancing mascot, and he'll be out here. Quick plug, Fan Fest, May 24 at Hillside Stadium. So I'm sure we're gonna see Rory dancing on the field at Kamloops.
I'm with you there. May 24th, Fan Fest, back to the way it was previously, all at Hillside Stadium, and yeah, no one can beat Rory's moves. Nobody.
You're going to give it a go?
You just thought of a video idea. All right. We're talking about swimming challenges here. No, I'm not going to subject myself to that. All right. I know you've done this already. The most likely to take and post a picture of a Kamloops sunset. That's yourself.
That's me?
Yeah. Have you done it yet?
No, well, there wasn't a sunset yesterday, unfortunately, but yeah, I'll be delving into that a little bit. It's beautiful out here.
It's going to be, you can't.
I love Kamloops. Sue me.
You can't beat it. You can't beat it. Tournament capital of the world, baby. Oh, I see what you've done here. The most likely to ask Kyle Nelson about the 49ers offseason. That'd be me.
Yeah, because a lot happened. So, Matt Baker, you got to get your input from Kyle about this crazy offseason in 49ers land.
That'll be dinner chatter on Saturday or Sunday, probably. Yep. Kyle, I think, was the last guy we talked to in this room toward the end of training camp.
That is correct. Just over our shoulder over there. There's a bunch of tables there. That's why we're not set up, but we're in our remote locations for the next 3 weeks. Great
to have Kyle back. Great to all be back. Before a couple days leading up to this, you're scrambling, you're trying to pack, you're a little stressed out, and once you're here, it's awesome.
Back in the routine. Yep.
Back in the routine, and Nathan Rourke has been in it for quite some time. We're going to talk everything with Nathan Rourke. Kamloops, his community work in the offseason, being with his brother Kurtis when his name was called by the San Francisco 49ers. A potpourri of topics with QB1 coming up on First and Now, presented by World Vision Canada. Back on First and Now, presented by World Vision Canada, back in Kamloops, like Nick and I were talking about, and Nathan Rourke is back in Kamloops. Third go-around here, first since 2022. How does it feel to be back?
It was good. It's interesting. It's fifth overall for me in terms of training camps.
Right.
But it's third one here, so it's I feel like I'm a lot more veteran than I am in this place. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, exactly. Go back. Well, and let's go back to 2021. We've talked about it before, but not a normal camp.
No.
It was July. It was hot as you know what. There was smoke, forest fires, COVID protocols. When you look back at that year, do you kind of have to pinch yourself or what?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you look at 21 and 22, they were abnormal training camps. You know, 22 we had the
Right.
strike, right? So
Mhm.
Rick always liked to give me some, mess around with that with me because he was like, you haven't had a regular camp yet. 20 it was canceled. 21 it was moved back, and 22 it was moved back still because of the strike. So it's been good. It's been good. I love coming up here. It's been great to be back. 21 was a strange year, but super fortunate. A lot of things went my way. I was able to get on the roster and get some valuable reps. So I'm excited to be back, man. Excited to see you guys. You
Yeah.
guys look great.
And very quickly, back to that time. Remember, Mike Riley had the elbow issue. So
He did.
You were in a sense almost thrust in there.
Yeah, well, they had brought in another guy to be the 2 from Ottawa,
Will Arndt.
Will Nart, and who was a great guy, and we got along really well. And then there was 3 of us that were competing for essentially the third quarterback spot. And so I remember the first couple of days when Mike was healthy, we were rotating 5 reps a day between because we were sharing all the 3 teams
Mhm.
reps. And I remember one day not even getting reps at all. And then, Mike went down and they kind of shuffled things around a little bit and kind of was able to, see us get some better reps with maybe some 2s and I was able to work my way up from there. But yeah, without that injury, I might not even be here today. So very,
Well,
very thankful for it. But then Mike came back and I was able to continue to learn from him. Just having it, spending time with him in the room was great. It was awesome to learn from him.
Roles are a little reversed now because you're like the vet here. Jeremiah Mazzoli, it's his first camp. There's Garrett
Yep.
Schrader coming in, the other CFL quarterback intern coming in.
Yep.
Are there now it's your third camp? Are there things that, like, as a vet, that you're not prepared for? Like I bring my own soap now, for example. I know like Bola Cumbo used to bring his own mattress. Like, there's things like that that you
Yeah.
expect with Kamloops, right?
Yeah, you certainly know what the rooms are going to be like, and I brought a bowl and some dish soap and some
Mhm.
cutlery, just like a singular spoon because I know that they don't have those in the rooms.
Dorms,
and, brought a fan because I remember in 22 having to buy a fan, or maybe it was 21, one of the years. You live and you learn, and it's been good. But thanks to the mini camp, like a lot of the guys, like we know each other. We may not know the space, but we know each other, which is good.
Yeah. Is there anything in the last 2 seasons that you weren't here that you missed about Kamloops? Like probably the view comes to mind.
The
but-
view, yeah, absolutely. You can't beat the view. Like today's a really clear day, I would say, right? And today's a clear day, and so it's able to see the beauty of Kamloops. But I just forget like how great of a setup this is. You think of the CFL, you look at some of the the things around the CFL, you might not think it's up to par with maybe some of the big programs or with the NFL, for example. But you come here and you realize that you're wrong because it's beautiful here. We have a great setup here. I was just in the gym this morning. People are excited that we're back in Kamloops, so it's pretty cool for the community. It's cool to be a part of.
Talking about, the other day you're doing media and you're talking about how, VA, you noticed back in 2022, he was doing his off-season mini camp in Montreal. But, now that you've had a full off-season to really get reacclimated, do you feel any type of special responsibility in terms of the fact that you're the guy again and you're representing not only this team, but in a sense, this brand?
Yeah, I mean, it's a privilege, right? It's a privilege at the end of the day. It's exciting to be able to come into camp and know that it's less about making the team as it is just getting better. I think that's really fun, and working really hard, and you get to be a leader on the team, which is awesome, and you get to do really cool things in the community in the off season and stuff like that, and meet some new people, and I think it's a really cool privilege, and I'm excited to kind of step into this new role and hopefully thrive.
So fans that aren't aware, all the quarterbacks are taking part, like you say.
Yep.
Yourself, Jeremiah, Chase Bryce, and Garrett Schrader, who we were just talking about before we started this. How beneficial is this to not only get to know the quarterback room, or at least the ones you don't know yet, and sort of get acclimated with a lot of these rookies that are coming in, receivers, running backs, O-line, everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good the way that they do it, to be able for us to, to be able to take some time and get used to, the cadences and the operation. Really, for us as quarterbacks, like, we might be vets, but it's a new system for all of us, to be able to see and get on the same page together as a room before the vets come and the bullets really start flying. So, but I think it's good for the young guys as well, especially those who are new to the league, to be able to understand, what the waggle is and how to use it, learn some of the rules, and kind of get things slowed down a little bit at the same time while, the front office is evaluating them before main camp. So it's a good way that they kind of ease us into everything and get us back acclimated and all that kind of stuff.
I had the privilege of actually attending your mini camp and documenting it all, and I saw firsthand some of the things that stood out to me were like Jeremiah Mazzoli's leadership. You could tell right then he's like a vet that knows how to do these things. But what else kind of impressed you from that group that week? Like, I know you were talking about Rise and John before this. Yep. Keon's definitely taken a leadership role, but is there anything else that comes to mind, or is it kind of those things right there?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like, it's been great to work with Jeremiah. He's been great. Like you said, he's a seasoned vet. He has so much great experience, valuable experience. I look forward to learning from him. He's just got a ton of knowledge, and I just want to be a sponge around him and lean on him and Buck. Obviously we know in this league it takes two, right? So it's not only that, it's, we know that he's a guy who we can rely on if something were to happen, right? So that's always great, and he's just a great guy to have in the locker room. Hatch is certainly coming along as a leader. We were talking before, I think it's Hatch and it's Justin, it's Katoy. They're the leaders and the most veteran of the receiver room, and however they want it to be, that's how it's going to be. It's going to be molded after those three, which is a cool responsibility. And I think what jumped out to me about that camp was just the quality of guys that we have. We have high character guys that are willing to work, guys who get along well with each other, are fun to be around, and I think all those things are a good foundation to be able to work into this training camp, which is going to be a long one, but we're excited for it.
So breakout receiver this year, who is it going to be? And I was just saying this earlier, and why is it going to be Stanley Berriel? Because, man, he looked quick at that mini camp too, and then you can tell he's just in year two now how much comfortable he is. We had him mic'd up and all that. Man, Stanley's looking good, right? He's a fast dude.
Yeah, he's got speed. He's always been a speed guy, and I think he's going to really like this system. I think the system is going to be really catered to some of his strengths. It's going to allow all of us to play fast. Think maybe a little bit less, and we're just going to be able to take advantage of people like him and his speed, and be able to get on the ball on the edge and use him in the running game possibly. So all those things are just exciting. And like you said, he's certainly a character, and will keep the vibe around the locker room and the meeting rooms light, which is good. And so we're excited to continue to have him around.
The group of first years too. Like if you walk around now, it seems like there's 20 plus receivers here that are new.
I know.
From what you've seen from this group, I don't know if you've been watching film with them and getting to know them even. I know like guys like Hayden came out to your camp.
Yeah.
How would you describe this class? And then do you have any connection? I know Quadri Olson's a connection you have,
Yeah.
but is there any other connections you got or anything like that?
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny because you football is kind of like that game people used to play with Kevin Bacon in terms of like connecting actors. Like I was in a film with.
Do you?
Do you know what I'm talking about, Bacon?
Yeah, it rings. I can't remember what it's called, but it rings.
I don't know what it is called either, but they basically like, how many links do you have to Kevin Bacon?
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah. It's the same thing with football.
He's too young.
It's a tough analogy, especially for the young people there, but it's a tough analogy. But basically, it's like everything's interconnected in football. You can find like I met someone today. I met Dre, who he went to Kansas. I went to junior college in Kansas.
Dre Dorian.
He's the offensive lineman that we picked in the draft, and but then he went to Buffalo before that. We played each other in the MAC. So it's like you can and then I know people in Buffalo. You know what I mean? So it's like it's things like that where you have really with everybody. I met another receiver that we signed. Bailey, had lunch with him today. He went to San Jose State. We were talking about the area because Kurtis is going to be there, right? So it's you always have a connection with them. So I don't really know in terms of like who they are going to be on the field, but that's where you trust Riggs in the front office and
Yeah.
that they're going to do their job. But I'm always excited to see the guys and talk football with them and talk other stuff as well.
Before we talk more 49ers, because it's coming.
I can tell you want to get to it. Yeah.
Ready.
Couple quick ones before that. Buck Pierce, the staff been going full go here. Well, pretty much since the calendar year turn, whether it's virtually or in the facility.
Mm-hmm.
What's that learning curve been like, the new offense, and how excited are you to translate it onto the field with him officially here?
Yeah, I think it's been to this point, it's been just on the board or on the film room, and so to be able to, and it all was very exciting. I look forward to it, but you don't get to see it it's all in theory right now, right? So to be able to see it in a practical sense is really exciting, and I'm looking forward to feeling out the timing of things, being able to see how things are developing, and really get a little bit more of a hands-on experience getting coached by Buck, and so. That's really exciting. He's fired up. He's ready to go. We were just doing some stuff together this morning, and he can't wait to get on the field. So, and neither can I. So that's always a good sign. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, another big part of your off season around the entire province. You went up north. You've been on the island. You've been involved with Indigenous youth programs. You really got involved with the community, especially out in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
How rewarding, how special was that? And the Be More Than a Bystander program, for example, always been a big one for us. Just talk about that and what it was like educating.
It's fun. It's a special privilege that we have as professional athletes to be able to go around to schools and be able to speak with people about some very important issues. Be More Than a Bystander, for those who don't know, is about standing up to gender-based violence, and we get to do it to a bunch of high school programs all across BC, up north, Sunshine Coast, Lower Mainland, Interior. We go everywhere. We get to work with and partner with some really cool, pretty cool sponsors, and who are just incredible with their time, and a lot of them come out to the presentations, which is great. But it's just great to be able to get some time with the kids and be able to talk to them about some really important things. So it's a very rewarding thing, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Along all those visits and journeys you took this offseason, were there any like special interactions that stand out to you? Like you signed autographs and all that, but was there any like maybe one or two specific things that really hit you in a special way?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's unique about the Be More presentations is that we do it alongside a local support worker. And so obviously they're the expert on the issues, right? About the issues of gender-based violence and stuff like that. And it's always super cool for me to be able to see people take advantage of that and use, maybe something that they've got from our presentation, to be able to go and have a serious conversation with a support worker, and maybe us coming there is like that, just that little nudge for them to go and seek out something. And so that happened a couple times for me. So this off season, so that's always really fun. And obviously there's some tough questions that you have to answer, and there's some tough interactions, but there's also some ones that are really fun, and that's at the end of the day, that's what you do it for.
Last segment, I think we want to touch on here. Obviously, Baker is getting ready to talk about it, but before we talk about Kurtis joining the 49ers, you spent the week in Ohio with Kurtis and his family, supporting him throughout that process.
Yep.
Talk about it, because it was expected. I think day 3 was kind of where most thought he would go, and was that kind of, so that's Saturday, right, of the draft?
Yep.
Is that the day where it was like, okay, today's the day Kurtis is going to get drafted?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? You never really know. It was an interesting draft, to say the least, especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
So, for us, it was always, we knew that there were some players that needed to go and get drafted before Kurtis, and one of which was Shedeur.
Yeah.
And so when he kept dropping, we were kind of getting nervous a little bit, and there was no quarterbacks taken in the 4th. And so we were just, thankfully they started picking up a little bit more steam in the 6th. So we thought that, at the end of maybe midway through the 6th, that it could go at any time. And there was some disappointment, some teams that he really wanted to go to, maybe a little bit closer to Cincinnati for my sister-in-law and her family's sake. But ultimately, when he got the call, it was just pure joy and jubilation and just a super proud moment. Super happy that I went and was there and was supporting him. And I think that's just such a big moment for him in his career that I just feel like I just needed to be there for him. And it was I was so happy to just kind of do that for him. And I don't get to see him very often. So just to be able to be with him is always awesome. But nerve-wracking day, stressful day, but it ended up being a really, really happy one, a really good day. And so I'm glad that we did it. It's a ton of travel. I don't know if you guys knew that, but we traveled. We went Vancouver to Toronto, 5-hour flight, then drove 7 hours the next day. So it was like, and then we did it all in reverse. So it was like 24. It was like one day of travel in total when it was all said and done. So it felt like a long day, and I wish if it was up to me, it would have been earlier in the off season, but not so close to camp. But was able to shake those travel legs pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, South Bend and Ohio State too, right? It was the same process.
Yep. Long thing. So now that he's in San Francisco, hopefully, there'll just be a down and back trip. It'll be nice and easy, just 2.5 hours or maybe less than that. So exciting, very exciting, and same time zone too, which is you always feel a lot closer when you're in the same time zone. So
be paying attention to a lot of 1 p.m. games.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What? Hey, describe what it was like the moment getting the call. You said it was Mick Lombardi, the quarterback's coach, who called, son of Michael Lombardi, of course. What was that like?
Yeah, it was cool. It was kind of an interesting moment because, it's the 7th round, and some of the teams that we thought that he might go to that were interested, they've already picked a quarterback, and so they're all right. They're not on the list, and he's starting to pace a little bit and get nervous, and then his agent's talking to him about, all right, this is scenarios if he doesn't get drafted. Here's what we're thinking. The Rams reached out and they were like, hey, we got one more pick in the 7th. We're not going to take a quarterback, but we'd love to have you. And so you're starting to have that conversation, and he goes, we're sitting on the couch, and he just turns to me, and of course everyone's around, like 50 people around watching the TV, and he goes, well, the Rams they're gonna call me, and the quarterback coach is gonna call me. And I was like, yeah, he's gonna try to recruit you, try to say some nice things to convince you to sign if you go undrafted. And so the phone rings, and it's a California number, and he goes, I think this is them. And I go, and then so everyone goes shh, because it's the first call he's got, so everyone hushes. And I go, no, it's just the Rams. It's not a big deal. It's just the Rams. They're just calling to try to recruit him. And of course, it's the Niners. And so as soon as he started getting emotional and saying thank you and all that kind of stuff, you knew that it wasn't just a recruiting phone call for an undrafted free agent. They had actually picked him. And then we looked up, and obviously the Niners were on the clock. I will say this: the moment would have been a lot better if they would have ran his highlights on the stream like they did every other quarterback. Even they had for the North Dakota State guy. Yeah, I'm saying conspiracy here. North Dakota State, they had highlights queued up, and they were rolling them when he got drafted. They didn't even show him him being announced. It just went on around the ticker, and they had no highlights from him. That was the only quarterback. Of course, when Ewers went a couple picks later, they had a huge thing going on. They wanted to talk about it and how he dropped and all of this stuff, different type of stuff. It was. He got the short end of the stick, but it was fun.
Well, Indiana football covered him. I said they put out a really cool video.
Did they?
So guys like me, that's where we come in.
So speaking of that, there was a guy that was with us, like for the first 4 or 5 rounds, and then he had to leave and do something for recruiting. We were like, no, you're literally leaving when we think we're gonna go. So that was a bummer. I felt bad for him because he had to drive all the way back to Bloomington. From Cincinnati.
Bloomington, Minneapolis, or
Indiana.
Yeah. There's Bloomingtons everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. So cool day.
Well, there you go. I'll let you know what tickets I'm looking for.
Yeah, we can go down together.
Let's
carpool.
do it.
Get Kyle Nelson in the mix.
Yeah. There we go. There's 4 right there.
Yeah. There you go.
Awesome. Fun aside, congratulations. I mean, we all know how hard you both worked to get where you're at, and hopefully 2025 and beyond serves you both well.
Yeah, well,
and hopefully we don't see him in Regina.
I was just about to say. I think we all hope that he's takes his time in the NFL and doesn't come up here. I mean, I think if he does, it'd be great, but we don't want to see him anytime soon. I know that.
There's so many Canadians.
Think of the storylines.
Saskatchewan is already, they're good enough. They don't need another, they're already really, really good. We don't need any help. They don't need any help.
Well, June 7th, it's Nathan Rourke and Trey Ford. So I think that's a Canadian quarterback fix right there. It's a great storyline. So
first time since the 60s. Yeah. So All right. We know camp life is very busy life, so we appreciate you taking the time.
Well, anything for you guys.
Well, we'll hold you to that then.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. It's here, man. Let's go. Enough of the off-season hype. Let's go get this. Thank you.
3 hours and 32 minutes until we're on the field. So
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, let's go. I love it.
Not too windy out there, so should be okay.
you got to deal with that, I guess.
I know.
But
I know.
Back with more First and Now. Outstanding conversation with Nathan Rourke, and we are eagerly waiting the NFL schedule, which I believe is next week on May 14th, to see what game we're going
yeah,
to.
they announced that they're announcing the schedule on a date. So that's the world we live in, where schedules are a major deal for sports clubs.
Well, if one
content.
league can pull it off, it is the NFL. They're great at making everything a big event, right?
Yeah, and it's trickled down to CFL, NHL, all sports leagues too. But yeah, QB1 to start off training camp, we're off on the right foot.
Yeah. Nicely done. All the time in the world for him, and we look forward to Sim. We're calling this the relaunch of his Lions career, really.
Yeah,
So,
this is the full era of Nathan Rourke, right? We got him as, what is he, 27 years old right now? So
Yeah.
all goes well. We've Nathan Rourke here for a long, long time.
and we'll be here for it. All right, no trivia today, right? What's going on?
No, my apologies. There's no trivia for our listeners or our viewers right now, because you and I are going to be playing trivia for the next 2 weeks, because one of my favorite parts with Kamloops is that there's 100 players here. You know half of them because they're vets. But these next 2 weeks, we got to start playing our own trivia where we got to put names to faces, because I think in the next 2 weeks, we should have names, faces, numbers. We should have all that down. So maybe in 2 weeks' time, I quiz you on some names, numbers, and all of that. And that'll be our trivia for the week. But we're busy here getting to know everybody.
Funny story about that. Just on my way down here, or one of my 3 trips unloading my car, I was with a couple players in the elevator, and hey, how you doing? How you doing? Hi, I'm Matt Baker. He says, yeah, hey, I know. I'm like, who's that? It was Tyler Coyle. I didn't recognize him because he had a hat on, like over his eyes. And I was kind of being I hate myself for doing this, but I had my sunglasses on in the elevator.
Nice.
Normally don't do that. So Coyle, of course, was with us at the end of last season. So I've already had it where it's a guy I've met. I forgot who he was, but mainly because he was sort of covering his eyes. And I was too. So there you go.
But yeah, we'll get to know everybody, and that's the content we'll bring you with Baker's reports every second day. And yeah, like I said, maybe I'll quiz you in 2 weeks' time here to get some names to numbers and to faces and all of those good things.
I'll be here for it. Okay, go for it or punt. Time flies here. We're about to wrap up, but what do you got?
So Google searches lately, they have this the first thing you see when you search anything on Google is this AI overview, and it pretty much just tells you the answer. So my question is, why was this not a thing before? Because it essentially eliminates you searching what you're searching for like after you go on to Google,
fills it in
right?
for you. Yeah.
So this AI overview thing, I'm going for it, because it's saved me a lot of time already. You just put any question you want to know in Google, and the AI overview tells you, and usually it's pretty accurate because it sources it from a site that you would have to find anyway. So I like how it's eliminating a step, and I'm impressed by it.
Yeah, we're all going to be replaced by AI. Is that it?
Yeah, maybe one day.
Maybe. That's a good one. All right, sticking with the drive up here. Love the waterfalls. Like you get out past Chilliwack, Hope, and into the Coquihalla itself. You see the waterfalls coming down those rocks.
Oh yeah,
Just beautiful. Like, I'm not an artist at all, but if I was a good artist, I would draw pictures of waterfalls. That's how cool I think they are.
in another life, Matt Baker is a professional waterfall painter.
Yeah.
We actually have a running back here. Shout out to our BCIT intern Noah for researching this up. But Xander Horvath is a professional artist too. So
okay,
might have some
arrow up.
Maybe we'll get a collab going. Baker, he'll draw. I think Xander draws cars. So you'll be drawing waterfalls, and Xander will be drawing cars, and they'll be up on the BC Lions shop in no time.
You're giving me ideas now. Love it. Love the beauty. All right, what are you punting here?
I know this has to be done because it's just when you're driving, this is how things work. But when semis pass semis, it just grinds my gears. And the reason why is I'm usually in cruise control, right? So when you're going 120 on the Coquihalla, going the speed limit, set my cruise to 120, and you're up and at it, you go, right? And I think it happened like 5 times to me where there are designated areas. There's those 3-lane areas where semis can
Yeah.
kind of go into the right? So the slow lane.
You got the passing lane, yeah.
But when semis pass semis, and I did like break to like 70 on the highway. So
Yeah.
that just grinds my gears when it happens. And I understand like semis have to pass semis, but they don't have to, but they do. But that's how driving works.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tangent here, but
I'm with you.
it grinds my
Thankfully, I
gears.
didn't encounter that this time, but yes.
yeah, you said you had a clean drive. I had a bunch of semis passing semis on my drive.
There you go.
Not fun.
Important thing is you made it.
Yeah, one piece.
All right. So baseball for us kind of falls by the wayside this time of year, but I'm trying to keep tabs. Blue Jays, Mariners, both teams, whatever. Mariners with an exciting win on Tuesday, rally in the ninth. Cal Raleigh, big dumper, go ahead RBI, base hit. This whole thing with the they're not even called the Oakland A's anymore, so I gotta.
Is it Sacramento A's, right?
No, it's the Athletics. It's
I see. I'm
they're
so
not.
out
They
of
don't
baseball
even
too.
put
Yeah.
Sacramento in the name. So if you look at the abbreviations they have for teams, it's ATH for the Athletics.
It's like athlete. Yeah.
Seriously, those Oakland fans, they didn't show up necessarily in droves, but the ones that did were unbelievable. Actually went to a couple of ball games in Oakland many years ago, and it was a cool vibe. An old stadium, played in a dump, and I know they couldn't get a ballpark built there for whatever reasons, and they're slated to head to Las Vegas, but playing in a AAA ballpark in Sacramento, I'm sorry. You're doing those fans and that organization a disservice, and kind of more related to what we do. I saw some reports after a couple of their first games. They were doing their post-game media in like a tent outside because there's no space. So that's just another example.
Yeah. It's like Mullet Arena too, right? With the Arizona Coyotes a couple years ago, but the Utah Mammoth have that now figured out.
I love that. That's
Same.
my backup go for it. I love it.
Same. I was punting though. They leaked. I don't think this was on purpose too, but they leaked their name on their YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Can't be
that
doing-
I saw.
can't
You
be
don't
doing-
think that was on purpose?
I don't think so because I
Yeah.
don't see the upside to that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, fair enough.
Logo's cool, colors are cool. So shout out to the Utah Mammoth.
You just hope no one who was on an NDA screwed themselves up. But
Yeah.
all right, they not like us. You're going back to semis, are you?
Yeah, so if I pissed off any semi drivers in the last segment, here's what I'm going to make it up to you because my they not like us is semi drivers. I don't know if many people probably don't know this. I don't think you even know this, but I used to be a forklift driver at
I did
at
not
a
know
cardboard
that.
box factory for a year.
Yeah.
So I worked in the shipping department and I dealt with a lot of semi drivers because when they would come in, they'd have to park their semi in and I'd have to load their cardboard boxes for them and off and at it they go. I have a lot of respect for semi drivers because that's one job where I know I would be I would fail miserably at it with backing up and dealing with all these
Yeah.
tight corners with your 53-foot long load. So shout out semi drivers. They're not like me because I could not do their job. So if I angered you in the last segment, here's me making it back up to you.
Yeah, close friend of mine who I used to work another job with was a trucker in his previous life, and he told me some stories about how whatever he was doing, they were shipping for some company and driving all across North America, and you're on a deadline.
Yeah,
Like,
that
you know,
too. Yeah.
You know, your boss is rating you. Where are you? What's your progress? What's your location? And then if the weigh scale is open, you got to stop and get weighed. And yeah, so I second that one. That's
Tough job. Yeah.
yeah, and they're doing work that a lot of people depend on what they do. So, all right, some crazy game sevens in the NHL. That Winnipeg Jets. That's a situation you won't see again in 40 years or whatever. Down 2 goals with under 2 minutes to go,
Pretty much. Yeah. It was nuts.
and they get the equalizer officially with 2.2 seconds left. But these broadcasters in these big moments, I'm talking specifically Paul Edmonds, the longtime voice of the Jets, I think ever since they moved from Atlanta. They're now on CJOB on the Chorus radio network. Just staying composed, getting the call right, and then going into overtime. Anything can happen, and both of his calls, the tying goal and the winning goal, because, the winning goal is a deflection. You don't know what it hits. You don't know. If you screw that up, you'll never live that down. So shout out to those broadcasters in the big moments.
It's funny. Yeah. I'm totally with you there too. But I saw the Chicklets guys they were talking about because Adam Lowry immediately, he's the one who it went off right last. And immediately he's the one that gets down on one knee and celebrates. So I'm guessing if you're a play-by-play announcer, you see that and assume that Adam Lowry scored it. But the Chicklets guys were saying that it was Ryan Smith, like the old Oilers forward, that used to do that, where he would not tip pucks, but he would celebrate and make it look like he scored.
He would.
He got away with a couple of those apparently back in the day, or had a rep for doing that. So, but yeah, Adam Lowry, great moment too post game. I know it kind of breaks like the objective reporting, journalistic standards that you have on broadcast. But Rick Bowness and Adam Lowry. Obviously, Rick Bowness was the former Winnipeg Jets head coach, and now he's on TNT. I know. Did you see that the moment I'm talking about?
I did not, no.
Well, they did the post-game interview with Lowry, and it was just a great, like Lowry and Bowness were getting emotional. So cool moment. I'm on record saying I love the coverage at TNT.
I saw a post about it. Didn't see it actually itself.
Yeah,
so
I would highly recommend checking it out. So, and then all the shenanigans that Biz is doing there too. So that time of the year, and it's fun though. Like the thing about this routine that we get into, I think we've talked about this, but we're football all day, and then when we're finally done our work, we usually just get together in a dorm and watch some playoff hockey. The Canucks Oilers series last year, we watched every single game of. So
got here for game one of that last year.
We were talking about that last night. We were like, remember that game one where Connor Garland and Nikita Zadorov were, the good old days. But
JT Miller,
It's the life we live now in Kamloops.
There you go. Leafs Oilers Cup final. Can you imagine?
I like that right now. I like that. I wouldn't sleep on those Dallas Stars though.
I would not. Getting those two injured guys back too against the Jets.
And I believe there was someone on this podcast that said Florida Dallas in the Stanley Cup final back in October. So that's still alive.
What did I can't even remember what I said.
We'll go check the receipts after. Yeah,
check the
tapes.
receipt.
Yeah,
I think I said Toronto Edmonton. No,
I thought I said Toronto Dallas, and I was all excited because I think it's going to be Toronto. But anyways.
Yeah, the Leafs are looking poised. We'll see if the goaltending situation, what happens there. But anyway, we're doing this every Wednesday up here. So we got 3 to go, 3 more Wednesdays after this. And we'll come up with some surprise guests and great topics. Some announcements about First and Now for down the road. A little tease for you. We won't get into it now, but podcast may have a decent free agent edition this year. Rumor has it. We can't say anything more right now.
Yeah.
And no, it's not a musical performer. Or is it?
Well, that's coming down the pipeline too.
That's coming down. I know. Keep it locked here. World Vision Canada, of course, great podcast supporter. Javon Katoy, Bo Lacumbo, among those giving back to World Vision in the last couple of years. BCLions.com, full training camp schedule, reports, videos on our YouTube page. It's here, baby, and we're back next week, I should say, on First and Now.